Hello guys, so welcome to another lesson on introduction to Python. Right, so introduction to Python is part of the learning series on this channel. Like I said earlier on in the introductory video, so you could just check it out. It's one of the first videos on this channel. We will be doing we'll be doing bits around data analysis with Python, statistics with Python, and learning Python for data science. And we've already started out by doing a bit on comments and talking about Python style guide. And now we're going to talk about reading Python documentation. Now, for you to write code or learn to write Python code, reading Python's documentation is important. To put it in context, different packages, different programming packages and programming languages all have documentations, and any programming language without a documentation is basically not a programming language, because it's really going to be difficult for anybody to learn. So today I'm going to show you that it's important and it's crucial for your learning to know how to read through documentations. Again, documentations are not limited to Python. They are in just about any package you're going to be using in future when writing Python for data science. There's also going to be a lot we're going to be looking into in future when it comes to maybe reading data sets into data frames, looking at packages like pandas, numpy, and statistical packages like statistics, scipy, and a bunch of others. So yeah, and they all have documentations. Now, for us to look at a documentation, I would go to do a simple Google search. So you just simply type Python documentation, write it over here. I was already looking through it, so yeah. So I just click on this. Right. So let me just basically go to the very beginning. So here we'll just go to python.org, and then here is the documentation page. I'm going to drop the link to the Python documentation in the description, so you can always check it out yourself. Now, again, the Python has versions. So if you come over here, you can see that there are different versions down to versions that are no longer supported. Some of you might have maybe 3.9, 3.10. You can also always just come here and just click on whatever version you have, and then you can work with the documentation. Again, there are tutorials, there are references, and there are lots of things. For instance, if I click on the tutorial here, you get a chance to read through what the documentation site for Python tutorial has to offer. You can start off by looking at the glossaries, which are terms that are used in Python. You can see that you can read them, right? Again, you can see here the default Python prompt for interactive shell. So if you have an interactive shell, you're going to see this. Okay, I know you wonder what's an interactive shell. You can find Python once you install Python, or you have like a Linux-based operating system. Python is in that already. So you can also use that, or you can just use an idle, and you can see different things. You see annotation, a label associated with a variable, different things, arguments when you create a function, a value that's passed to a function. So these are terms, and these terms have, and this glossary page has shows you how this works. It gives you a little bit of context to all this. So you can read this. There are lots of technical terms here. Some of them you are not ready to understand them. Some of them are basically simple stuff, but you can jump ahead of the curve and just have range and read them up when you can. Really important. Right. Oh, you even see this benevolent dictator for life, which is the name given to the Python's creator. So yeah, that's that. You can just go in. You can see lots of stuff. You can start off here. You can use a Python interpreter. You can use Python as a calculator, number, strings. These are different things. If I click on this, you can see lists. We're going to do lists in future, so you can always come here and you can see what a list look like. See that? See the list over here, and you can create lists on your own. Then you can check them out, and you can do all this. Again, you can see the different things that make up a list, the different characteristics of a list, and really important what documentations can do for you. Then of course you have references. If you check this out again, you're going to find loads of references. You can see here, if I could read a bit, it says the Python language reference describes the exact syntax and semantics of the Python language. This library reference manual describes the standard library that is distributed with Python. So again, interesting stuff. You can see them. Some introductions. There are going to be notes on availability of the different versions. They're going to be built-in functions. Again, you click on this, you see the loads of built-in functions that exists in Python. In fact, if we look at this, for instance, let's say we look at learn, and it says it returns the length, the number of items of an object. The argument may be a sequence such as a string, bytes, tuples, list, or range, or a collection such as dictionary sets or frozen sets. Now, if we go back here and say I created a list, but if I type learn with an open bracket and I use shift and tab, you're going to see it returns the number of items in a container. So this also will give us something similar to where did we do that? Yeah, look at that. Yeah. So documentations are important, and there are ways for which you can use it. So learn just gives you tells you the length of items inside, and it just helps out. If you're using it for the first time, it can make a lot of sense. Say you created a variable and called the variable boy, and inside the variable you called it Pablo, and with that you run this here. There was a little error, excellent, and then you say you want to find the len of boy. You see 5 characters inside. So it's just simple stuff like documentations just give you a sense of how you can write your code, the syntax, the reason why it's there, the role it plays in the Python ecosystem. So really important. So you see that if we go back here, you can see that we're looking at built-in functions. So lots of them. Look at them. And then the explanations are all here. So Python documentations are important. And one last thing is, even when you use documentations are also reflected in the Jupyter Notebook. If you pull out a function or a built-in function, like say print is a built-in function, you can see it tells you here that prints the values to a string or to a system, by default. Optional keyword arguments. It tells you what it can take. It can take parameters like a file. You can take sep, which is a string inserted between values, and a string appended after the last value, flush, whether to forcibly flush the stream, It's a built-in method. You can see at the same time it's here, right? You can see that this is print, and you'll definitely find print somewhere. P, yeah, here you go. And if you click on this, see the same thing here: SEP, objects, and file flush. Right, so documentations are cool, and with the Jupyter Notebook that we're using, all you simply have to do is write a function, put your cursor in between these brackets, then use Shift and Tab, and it brings out the documentation itself, and you can read it. Right, so this is for documentation, especially for those trying to understand why, or you probably hear people talk about documentations. Documentations are so crucial to your learning, and it's always ideal for you to pick up documentations as soon as you start learning Python, because you are going to be faced with new things. The ecosystem for Python is so massive, it's so huge, that someone in future might come up with a function, or you probably read up someone else's code and you find out that there are some things that you've never seen before. Documentations help you read through what they're all about, and it gives you context for which the program was created for. Right, so thank you for listening on this and watching. I'll be putting out more of these short videos, probably 10 minutes, 15 minutes videos. And if you like it, or if you like what you watched, you like, subscribe so that you get notifications when I drop a lot of these short videos, and share with people are trying to break into data science and are trying to learn Python.